this is Mr. Jarrett, and in this video tutorial we are going to be getting started on our cartoon portrait, and this is day one. So on day one is the initial kind of setup or building the foundation of your project. And really day 1 through 3 is the foundation of your project. And you'll probably hear me say this in class, but when I say the foundation, think about like building a house. If you try to build a house on sand, it's not a real solid foundation, it's going to fall over. So meaning day 1, when we're finding an image, if you don't start with a good image, the rest of your project is going to be tough to do. It's going to fall apart, just like that house built on sand. So we're trying to actually find a very good image here to start. So you can kind of see that I have a previous example, and I'm probably just going to go with this, and I'll tell you what's good and what's bad about it as I go. But going down through my directions here, it says we're going to be Google searching for a person you want to trace over. So I'm going to continue with this example of Jack Black here, and I'll show you how I get to these settings. So the settings that I have highlighted, as you can kind of see, small pixel ratio equals bad image versus a high pixel ratio of a good image. Well, it says right here on the settings, and this might change or have changed since I made this video, but on your Google search, there's usually a little button here that says Tools that then you can change the size to large. So just to kind of show you the current version of this, if I type in Jack Black and I hit Images, right here I see Tools is way over here. So you can see in the previous one, Tools was right next to it, but Google updates all the time. So if you hit Tools, it should drop down like an extra little bar like this, and you can change the size to large. Now what this is going to do is filter out all of the small pictures. And as you can see, Jack Black being kind of a character, there's some pictures here that we're not necessarily going to be wanting. But what this is going to do is take away a lot of the smaller images. So what I mean by smaller images, that's something with a small pixel ratio. So you can see in this example, that's in the hundreds. It's 250 by 250. We want something that's in the thousands, a very large image. So you want to be able to see the eyebrows, maybe the eyelashes, or if they have beard, like some type of hairs here. Okay, little fine details. So I'm not going to be able to find this exact picture because this is an older picture that I did a long time ago. But just to kind of show you, if you just kind of click on a picture, and when you move your mouse over it, you can see the pixel ratio here. Now, this is kind of deceiving. So this individual picture right now, if I saved that picture, that is not 2000 by 3000. When I right click on this and I hit Open Image in New Tab, the original version of this probably is. So you see how this is large. Well, there's even another larger picture yet when I can zoom in. So that's even larger. Now, this is a very good picture to work with because I can see individual eyebrow hairs like this one that's kind of coming down, or little tiny beard hairs here. You can see all the creases in his skin. You can almost see some detail in his eyes, which sometimes is hard to get. So something like this would be a very good picture. And this is the one that I would be saving. So you can see when you find an image, you're going to right click and hit Open Image in New Tab, switch the tab, and save the image into your folder. So again, not this one, but the one I zoom into, that's the one I'm going to right click and save. Now what happens if it does not blow up to a larger image? So maybe I'll just kind of go through here and hope that this will actually work. We'll see if it does. Sometimes when you hit Open Image in New Tab, it's not actually larger. Like again, this one is. So let's just keep going. If we can't get one here after a few tries to do what I want it to do, then I'll just forget it. But sometimes when you're trying to open some of these and you're hitting Open Image in New Tab, the image that opens up is actually smaller. It's even smaller than what was here. So that's just some type of coding that they have on the website. Sometimes you have to go to the actual website itself, and then the image on the website is even larger. Or this one we might be able to kind of open up and it might show you in a larger version of that. So if you're having a hard time with that, finding the image, please let me know. Some of the things you also want to look for, not just individual eyebrow hairs, but going back to my example of why I said this was somewhat of a good one, but not the greatest, you can see in this original picture, and this is when I very first started doing this project, I didn't think through some of these things. The very first picture that I used has his head cut off, and it even has his hair cut off over here. So I had to kind of fake the top of his head and fake the side of his beard. So I would highly recommend getting something that has the full head, but we also only want to go from like the collarbone up. So we're doing its portrait, the portrait of the person's head, not a full body shot, not shoulders and, you know, like all the way down to their waist, just from pretty much their collarbone up. Okay. So once you save that image, we are going to open up the cartoon portrait template in your folder. So I already have that. And it looks like this. And I'm just reading down through the directions, and I have those directions on my other screen here. So I'm just going to read right down through this. So it says click on the original image layer, or just the image layer at the bottom. And we're going to be going to File, Place. You're going to select your image, and you're going to hit Place. And you're just going to click to place this. I'm going to zoom out. And these directions are kind of written on there. I probably could update the directions a little bit. It talks about holding in shift and resizing and things like that. But what I have seen here are some of the images that we're downloading are all different shapes and sizes. So I do not want you to resize this yet. What I want you to do first is crop this. So with it selected, up at the top you will see a crop image button. We want to crop our photo to get out all of the extra junk. So on this photo, I don't have a whole bunch of extra stuff, meaning like there's not, you know, his chest way down here or his stomach or anything like that, or, you know, other pictures or other people in it. There's only this little bit of excess white over here, but you want to crop this so it's just the area that you want to draw. Now, if you're doing somebody that has long hair, like a female that has really long hair, or I had a student the other day that was doing like Weird Al Yankovic, who has really long hair. That is a male with long hair. That it makes that person. You know, that's what makes that that character or that individual known, is probably one of those features of them is that long hair. So you might want to keep that image long. That's fine. You're going to mainly focus on the head, and then later on, if you get time, you can make that hair really long, or you could just crop it out. But it gives you that ability to go back and still have that if you need it. So just crop out what you don't want and hit apply. And now once you've cropped it, your image might have gone from a vertical image to a horizontal image. Okay, so this image itself isn't probably the best example to kind of show, oh, look how it changed after the crop. But just if you're looking at this, I can now see that this is actually wider than it is tall. Okay, see the width is actually wider than tall. So I am going to change my artboard. So to change my artboard, I'm going to make sure that my image is off of it, because sometimes that messes it up. Just keep my artboard here. And over on this left side, above the hand, I'm going to click the artboard. Notice that's also the quick key for that is Shift and O. Now with the artboard selected, I'm going to go up to the top, and I want to change the little setting of where my reference points is over to the left middle dot. So the reference point is going to be the left middle dot because we want it to rotate off piece, not the middle of it, because this would come over top of these. We want it to change position from here. So now I'm going to change it from the mode to the landscape mode, and it's going to go sideways. I can just get my black arrow, click out, and now my artboard is changed. Now, if you have an image, you didn't obviously need to do that. I only did that because my image is more horizontal. It's a landscape image. So now I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to hold, if that is key here. Make sure you hold in Shift. I have that big and bold and highlighted even. Hold down the Shift key and read the image. Make sure you do that. If you have an image that looks like this and you're trying to trace it for the remainder of this project, the whole entire time, I hate that you did this. Okay, so this is building your foundation. You need to make sure you hold in Shift and drag this. So I'm going to put as much on the artboard as possible of his head. Now, if you have that long hair, let the long hair go down past. Try to get their head as big as possible so that you don't have to super zoom in when you're trying to see these fine details. Okay, so now we'll just kind of center this on the art, and I'm going to make a copy of this. So to make a copy, I can just click and hold on the layer and drag down to here, down to the Create New Layer button. I'm going to hold in Shift once again, and I'm going to drag this over. Okay, drag this over, and I'm going to put it to the side. Now, the reason I put it directly to the side is because once we start drawing on this one, that's going to get filled up, and we're going to have a whole bunch of layers that we'd have to turn off just to kind of see where we're drawing. So by having one over here, you can do the reverse, as once you have stuff on here, you can just draw over here if you'd like and bring. So it's almost like two artboards, sort of, but it's just helpful. Okay, you can kind of look at what you're drawing by seeing the image over here, even if this one. So now I'm going to lock the image layer. I'm going to switch over to my swatches. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So you can see I put a huge layer over here for you of swatches. You know swatches as being up here. Swatches is just like a color sample that's saved. Instead of saving a whole bunch where you have a hard time naming them or seeing what they are, I just kind of made some bigger ones for you just to make it easier. And you notice I made it simple. I just did a highlight or medium color and a shadow. You might have one more over here or one more over here, but you know, for like extreme areas. But for the most part, you just stick with 3. I've probably shown you some of the other examples where students did way too many, and it looks blotchy. It doesn't look as good. Start with a simple one here of the skin. So what a lot of kids will do, because it says highlights, base, and shadow, you know, they'll get their highlights and they'll get their eyedrop and they'll go on here and they'll find the brightest spot, like right here on his nose. So I'm just going to do this as an extreme version to show you both ways, and you can kind of choose what works for you. So this is his base version. So this is kind of like skin tone, middle skin tone, just kind of drag around till you see what you want here. And then eyedrop. If I'm looking at this, probably the darkest spot or a shadow of this would probably be right here underneath the hair. Well, when I do that, I just use my eyedropper tool. You see that drastic change. That looks like 3 completely different skin colors. Sometimes I don't like this. It really depends on the lighting. It also depends on where you click. You know, here he's got a little bit of rosy red cheeks. So if I would have clicked there, he would have had to him. It really depends on where you click with this. So I'm just going to show you a different example. Okay, and I'll copy these and just put these to the side so you can see. You don't need to make copies, but I'm just showing you. This is just extra to show you. So this base color, I kind of like that base color. That's fine. So if I made all of these my base color to start. So this is my suggestion of what to do. I would select all 3 and find a base color. Then I'm only going to select highlighted box. And instead of using the eyedropper, I'll just come over here and use my color picker. So I'll double click on this, and this shows me where that actual color is. So for a highlight, I would just move my mouse up, and I can see the before and the after. So I like that as a highlight. Maybe you want it even more. That's perfectly fine. And then I'll go to the shadow, and I'll do the reverse. Double click, I want to go down. Okay, there's the shadow. That looks much more realistic to me of a change of skin color. But you do what you want. You can eyedrop better probably than what I did. You know, I probably took this to the extreme just to cut point. But that's your choice. So once you have all of your swatches set, you'll kind of have something like this, you know, and I don't necessarily have too much of clothes because he's just wearing a white shirt. So I'll just kind of do those later. But I also have nothing for extras. It would be like glasses or maybe necklace or something like that. Feel free to make more of these if you'd like. But once you're done doing your swatches, you're going to also lock that down. And you're definitely going to save it. This is the completion of day 1.